What's up, Okie Nation, and welcome into episode 424 of the Tech Sideline podcast. It's 2025 ACC Kickoff here from the Hilton Charlotte Uptown in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we got the whole Tech Sideline crew on site to talk about ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and what he said in his press conference today. That all gets started next on episode 424 of the Tech Sideline podcast, which starts right now. And we're recording on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 from the Hilton Charlotte Uptown in Charlotte, North Carolina. Remember to like, subscribe, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Carter Hill. To my left is our managing editor, Mr. David Cunningham. Across the way is our senior staff writer, Andy Bitter. Nick Brown, our director of media, is producing behind the scenes, and we are so thrilled you could join us on your Tuesday afternoon. Guys, first ever Tech Sideline podcast away from Blacksburg. How does that sound, David? How does that sound?
This table is pretty nice.
Traveling roadshow here.
Yes.
This is big time.
Dude,
set
Nick,
up on
kudos to
Radio
Nick
Row.
Brown.
Yeah, I was going to say shout out Nick Brown. All I did was secure the tables. Nick Brown has done the rest. He has, you guys can't see it, but the reason you can see anything is because Nick brought two cameras, a whole magnificent setup, and looks pretty good.
Yes, it does. By the way, Nick Brown, married man. Congratulations, by the way.
Is this the first podcast we've done since?
Yeah.
Wow.
First
Congratulations.
There he is. Oh,
he's showing off the ring. Very,
if
very
you're watching
nice.
on YouTube.
He
so.
didn't bring the PS5 in the college football game, though.
I know.
So, married man, he's already getting his priorities straight. No more video games. So.
Neither did David, though.
All right.
Yeah,
you
have
didn't
no
bring it
excuse,
either.
David.
You didn't bring it either.
Okay.
All right, Jim Phillips, the
I
ACC.
came here to work.
I know. Jim Phillips, the ACC Commissioner, he spoke to the media earlier today. A lot of different topics. Where do you guys want to start? Because there's a lot of interesting stuff to kind of dive into.
I started my article today on, he was asked about Florida State and Clemson.
Yes.
And I thought it was a good question the way it was phrased. It's like in the past, these conferences have gone to unequal revenue sharing. The schools that you have given the unequal revenue sharing to are never satisfied. They get that little taste of it, and it's still never enough, and they still end up leaving the conference. So do you worry that you are, altering 70 years of the standard, the way that the ACC has done this, for schools that are just going to leave anyway? And I thought he had a good quote in there, and he said, if I can find it here, I have a responsibility to make sure that our ACC schools want to be in this league, not just have to be in this league. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, I'm not here to be contentious with people. I'm trying to sort of, settle the peace here in the land. And to a degree they have. Now, I don't know how long it's going to last, because there's obviously a buyout associated with the settlement that they've had. And that's a diminishing buyout over years, where it's not going to be too onerous before long. If a school has an offer to go to another conference, they can up and leave, and they can do it. And it's not cheap. I mean, we're talking about still $75 to $100 million, whatever it would cost to leave, but it's not prohibitive like it used to be. So we'll see what that comes out like in the future. But I mean, the Pac-12 doesn't exist like it used to, right? It's gone. It's rebranding and coming back together, but it's not the same thing. The Big 12 has a bunch of schools that nobody else wants. That's why they're solid. Nobody's coming knocking on their door trying to get away Kansas and all these other schools from the Big 12. And the ACC, I feel like people have just sort of been dogging it so much lately. And it's like, all right, well, they're a steady number 3 right now, I think. And people are going to talk about the Big 12. I think the Big 12 just markets itself better than the ACC does. So I think the ACC is actually in an okay place. I'm not going to say it's stable, and I'm not going to say they're not going to be torn apart in the future, but in this age of conference realignment, you're sort of only good for like 1 to 3 years. Like, can you be on steady footing for that time? And I think they are for right now.
Yeah, and Phillips also mentioned, he's like, I talk to them and I trust them.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, this is how we feel. And it's like it kind of a compromise on multiple sides. Like, you're just trying to make them happy. And Phillips is like, okay, that they said that they would be okay with this. I trust them. I thought something else he said, which is the last quote Andy finished with in the first section, talking about the unequal revenue sharing, which is going to be a success-based, essentially. There's also a wrinkle there where TV eyeballs factor in as well. And Phillips said, quote, if you want to earn more money, then you're going to need to invest.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of point blank. This is the era we're in, where if you want to be good, you're going to have to support your programs.
Well, it's not really a principle anybody should be against.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody's like, yeah, whatever you do, we're going to give you the same amount of money. I don't think anybody looks at that and goes, yeah, that's a great way to run your business or your life or anything like that. No, if you put the work in, if you put the effort in, if you get the results, you get more of the spoils at the end. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad principle to base your conference around. Now, it's going to be eye-opening for some of these schools that don't make as much money. And, Virginia Tech has not been doing so hot results-wise, and TV-wise, probably not as great either. They haven't had very many compelling TV games. That will obviously change this year with the opener being on Sunday like that, and only game on TV at that time. But there might be a little bit of a rough going for some teams early on, but I think once you settle into it, I think you'll see that, if you're successful, if you invest in your program, if you get eyeballs on your program, then you should reap the rewards of that.
Little bit of a different press conference compared to last year when all this was taking place. ACC Kickoff, ACC Tip-Off was continuously asked, what's going to happen with Florida State and Clemson. Finally came to a resolution in March, and did seem like it was a little bit of a sigh of relief today, maybe from Jim Phillips talking to the media in that sense. I don't know if that would be a correct way to categorize it.
I don't know if it was, I don't want to say victory lap, because I don't think you can say that they won. I think they gave up a lot more than you thought they might have in that situation, but it's also not... the conference isn't on death's door right now, which is, I think, how everybody kind of felt last year. Is like, oh my gosh, two of your premier brands are suing the conference. Like, it's only a matter of time before this whole thing is over. I mean, Florida State was basically standing on the table and saying, you are all so lucky you should even be in the conference with us. We're just carrying you along here. And then they went 2-10 during the football season, so that that didn't work out so great for them. It just feels like, I don't want to say like one big happy family, but it just seems calmer around the ACC this year.
I think it felt like at some point that the only people who were going to win in that scenario were the lawyers. And we're here at ACC Media Days, and it seems like everybody came out on the other side, maybe not as great as they might have wanted, but it's steady. It's like calm and quiet now. Yeah. Like everybody's okay with each other. Everybody's getting along. They reconciled, and I'm interested to kind of see, obviously, as everybody is, how long this lasts, because like as Andy said, the buyouts and whatnot continue to go down, and the ACC is not on death's door right now, but everybody knows what the stakes are. Sure. and that there's a potential out eventually, and I agree. I thought the way it was phrased, where the question about, the person mentioned Texas and Oklahoma,
specifically with the Big 12, yes.
Indirectly, but with the Big 12, and just how programs, when they haven't gotten the money they wanted, have left. So where does that go? Are Florida State and Clemson and other schools happy? Well, only time can really tell.
It was a great question, and the response was great too. So one thing that Virginia Tech fans are probably going to be pretty happy about, I don't know how much it's going to change things, is the ACC is now going to require injury reports. So Brent Pry and the Hokies, well, first off, that is in effect for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball. On the football side of things, Brent Pry and Virginia Tech are going to have to submit an injury report 2 days prior to the game, and then another one the day of the game. Do you think that's going to change how he operates at all?
Can you have 85 players who are questionable on the injury report? Because that might be what it is. That's typically how he gives injury reports like that.
Oh, and there will be an update the day before, too.
Okay.
For football.
Okay.
Day before and then 2 hours before kick for football.
Okay.
This is long overdue. And let's not, Jim Phillips didn't make any mistake about why they're doing this when he's up there. He's like, it's because of gambling.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this since gambling was legalized, and I'm like, during that whole Alan Tisdale thing where the NCAA is so worried about, oh my gosh, we're having people, student athletes are gambling on sports. It's the NBA. He's not even betting on his sports. Like, the real threat of that stuff is, like, they become targets if they have inside information about injuries. And if you're going to keep it secret from the public like that, you can't keep it secret from the players on the practice field. They know who's practicing and who's not. They know who's in the game plan and who's not. So all of a sudden, if you're a gambler who wants some inside information, throw some money towards the players who know what's going on.
Sure.
So I mean, this is a way to publicize this information. This is what the NFL has done for years. The NFL doesn't do an injury report out of the goodness of its heart. It does it for a gambling purpose so that they can't hide stuff like that. So I think that this is a good step, especially if they want to, protect their products from some of the gambling interests if they feel they need to do that. But certainly to just sort of lessen some of the stress on the players that's not going to be something that they'd have to worry about somebody coming up to them and be like, hey, you got some insider information on this that you could throw me? I think that's where it kind of gets ugly like this. Now, the coaches are not going to like it, but, so be it. They did it for a long time, the ACC, and sort of I don't want to say it was like a volunteer, but it was sort of more gentleman's agreement that they were doing this kind of thing. But that sort of went by the wayside when other conferences didn't follow suit and do it. But now the Big Ten has done this. The SEC, I believe, is doing it, and now the ACC will be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Like, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves over time. I don't know that, like Andy. I mean, I know Andy said it as a joke, but like Virginia Tech could. Ahead of South Carolina could say, well, or ahead of Vanderbilt, that might be a better example, say, we got 15 guys that are questionable, right? And so I don't know, I believe it was Mitchell Northam who asked a follow-up question about punishment for availability and how the coaches reacted, and Phillips said they were on a call, and he told the coaches this is how it's going to be, and the coaches didn't really react.
Right.
So they're probably not happy about it, but
none of them are happy about it.
I don't know.
I can guarantee you could go to one by one and ask them about it. None of them are going to be happy about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, Phillips talked about this in another sense too, in terms of money, revenue sharing and stuff, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But like staying within the boundaries, like I like, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, well, what's stopping a school from not following these guidelines, right? What is the fine? And he said they hadn't really gotten there yet. Maybe they will get there at some point, but it's going to be really interesting, with men's and women's basketball as well, baseball, how coaches handle it. I'm not sure that coaches are going to be more open.
Yeah, I was going to say how much of a gray area still is there.
Yeah, I think it'll take some time to be ironed out. It's hard. We don't cover the Big Ten, so it's hard to really get a gauge, I guess, on what it's like.
If a team is proven that they're violating this thing, find the head coach.
Yeah.
You never want to find the programs like, oh, we can't take money away from these programs and opportunities for student athletes. They always like to call them that. It's like, okay, well, these coaches are making $4 or $5 million a year. Find them. Find them directly, because they're in charge of putting out these reports. So, and you don't see this in the NFL, because that's what they would do, is they would find these franchises, and I don't know if coaches individually, but they would lay the hammer down on it, because they're like, we're serious about this. We want to do it. Yeah. And it's funny now that Bill Belichick is in the league, one of the most secretive coaches around, and now he's going to have to. But I mean, he's done injury reports his entire life in the NFL. So
what's crazy? We were talking again. This is not anything to do with this, but there are 4 former NFL coaches here. 4 former NFL head coaches, 3 current head coaches in the ACC, and then Ron Rivera too. So it's just interesting to look around. You're like, wow.
Yeah, you mentioned Frank Reich, and I was like, oh wow. Yeah,
2 former Carolina Panthers head coaches in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. The quote. Phillips talked about the modernization. And it all goes back to, like Andy said, about gambling, protecting the student athletes, and I just picture a game where, like, take the Syracuse game for example.
Right.
I'm making up this situation, but Bashal Tootin and Kyron Jones both didn't play, and imagine if somebody, a player who knows it gets out to a family member, and somebody uses that information and gives it out. Like, that's so much. It's so unnecessary if you just are straightforward as a program about it and you avoid that entire scenario.
Yeah.
So we reporters were right the entire time to be asking about injuries. I think that's the point, right? We were protecting the integrity of the game before the ACC was.
But this is just another example. But is this going to eliminate the Grant Wells might play at Rutgers. You know what I mean? Like, when he got hurt that Purdue game, and he was dressed for that Rutgers game the week later, but was barely able to even move in warm-ups, and we were told throughout the week, though it was maybe not the most believable thing, that there was a chance he was still going to play that Rutgers game.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't tell us how they were going to structure the availability reports. I think everybody's just kind of assuming it's going to be like it used to be, which was modeled on the NFL one. I don't know how specific you need to be about the injuries on it. Even if that's the case, there's nothing stopping you from dressing him up.
Right, yeah.
Putting him out there, even though Grant Wells could barely walk in that pregame. It's like, he's not playing, guys. So my hope is that it would stop them coaches from doing that, because it's stupid and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So why go through that charade with it? It just seems like they're needlessly worried about something where they can put their thoughts and their efforts into something else.
Another topic, too, was, and it came up late in the press conference, but is the ACC firm on having just 8 league games every single year? The answer to that for now seemed like yes. Is that the right move by the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm so tired of this debate. This has been an annual conversation for what feels like 15 years. So I was like, the merits of 8 versus 9, and they go back and forth with it. It's like, yeah, they could do it, but I like some of these non-conference games too. I don't understand how they're like, well, if you do this, some of these rivalry games go away. It's like they still give you 12 games to play with. If you want these rivalry games to work, just schedule them if they're a priority to you. So I don't really see the argument against it. The only thing now that would make it difficult for the ACC is there's 17 teams that play football, so you have an odd number, and you can't do a 9-game schedule with an odd number of teams. So that's something they'd have to work around. But I don't know. This is just like the evergreen debate topic. It's like 8 versus 9 games. Like, I really don't think it matters that much in the long run.
Yeah, I don't know that matters as much as ACC men's basketball going to 18 games. I think that is a big shift. Now, I did find it very, very funny where Phillips said, quote, "I felt like going to 18 games allowed us a chance to play 2 more competitive non-conference games and give us a chance to have a greater winning percentage and some of the metrics that they use to select teams." I don't know. The competitive part is what makes me chuckle a little bit, because I don't know that team programs are going to be using these 2 extra games to schedule other power conference teams. You might be scheduling Coppin State.
Sure.
But the metrics are the important part with that. And I think that's a little bit more interesting than the 8-9 football conference games, because it's like these are 2 legitimate games that if you play not very good teams and blow them out, it boosts your metrics.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is ACC basketball, and as Andy wrote in his article, ACC men's basketball has to be better across the board, period. When we only get 4 teams in the tournament, you're going to run into some issues, and I'm interested to see how they kind of combat that this year. But of course, this is football media days, not basketball.
Sure. Just going to throw this in there, too. This is how Jim Phillips led off the press conference, but he touched on player safety. And obviously, the SEC for a long time has had that policy in place where if there is a field or a court storming after a football or men's basketball game, that school is fined. I don't have the numbers in front of me for that. I believe the first time in the SEC it's $100K. The second time it's $500K. $500K flat. Okay, the ACC is not going to that extent, but the first time a school violates a player safety violation, I guess, it will be fined $50,000. The second time, $100,000, and the third time will be $200,000. Jim Phillips actually specifically mentioned the Kyle Filipowski example at Wake Forest a couple years ago, but the emphasis is now to get the opposing teams off the floor/field, and then you can have your fun on the playing surface, essentially.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to enforce. I think part of it is like coming up with safety protocols that's reviewed by a third party ahead of time. It's like, okay, well, how do you plan to get the team? You have to plan that ahead of time.
Yes.
You can't get to the moment and be like, students, please stop. like students aren't thinking rationally at that point. They're thinking, I want to get on that court or I want to get on that field. Nothing's going to stop me. When you got, 10,000 or in football cases 30,000 people or whatever it is trying to get on the field, there's not really much a security force, no matter how big it is, going to do to stop that. So It's interesting. They're like first offense, second offense, third offense. Could a school just write a check for $350K and be like, we're just going to do it?
Yeah, we're good
we
for
feel
life.
like.
Yeah.
I didn't see a fourth offense number on there. We'll just prepay this whole thing. And Tennessee did it, and then they fundraised off of it, and they paid for it. So they can say this, but in the emotion of the moment, the heat of the moment, I don't feel like it's going to stop too much.
It all comes down to preparation beforehand.
Yeah.
I think this is an area where, especially in Castle Coliseum, Virginia Tech has done a really good job. The Hokies do a really good job of making sure the players are safely off the floor. Usually the Rhino security, they come down from the stands like they form like a V right in front of the student section and make sure the opposing team is off the court down the tunnel before they kind of expand out to the rest of the court. You mentioned
Castle also has like a 10-foot drop.
so that makes it a little bit more complex.
Castle has a reverse moat that it makes it tough to get on the field. Some of those, it's just like straight onto the court.
Wake Forest.
The hill at Virginia.
Yeah, a lot of hills in the football stadium. So it's like, I don't really know how you stop that from happening if it's going to happen. That said, I am in agreement that they probably should have some more safety stuff around it. They mentioned the Filipowski thing. Caitlin Clark got run into her last year in college. So it's just like they shouldn't have to put up with that. Like professional athletes don't have to deal with that. There's Connor Blumrick at ODU.
That's right.
A little run in, and it's like you're running past these players. Obviously, the team that you are rooting for just beat them, so the players are not in a great mood. It's like something bad is going to happen, and whether it's the players getting injured or a player just not thinking correctly and taking a swing at somebody that's coming by them just out of sort of a human reaction to that stuff, it's bad stuff's going to happen. So this is a liability issue that the ACC is looking at, and I think that's why they're trying to stop it first and foremost, even more than the safety side of things. But I think it's a good policy to take on. It's a good thing to look at.
Did anything else stand out about what Jim Phillips had to say? Any other detail that he mentioned? Spoke for about 55 to 60 minutes with the media, about a 30-minute opening statement, and then about a 30-minute media Q&A as well.
I think just the expansion, college football playoff and NCAA tournament. Phillips mentioned that when they polled, I guess all of the basketball coaches, most of the men's basketball coaches were okay or for expansion of the men's tournament. Most of the women's coaches were against. I found that pretty interesting, and I think you don't have as many problems with the women's tournament. Like it just seems like we're always talking about men's basketball expansion. So we'll see where that goes. There was a long talk about college football playoff expansion as well, and Phillips kind of outlined it, and
he didn't really take a position.
No, he's kind of like, I'm okay with this and this.
5'9" and 5'11".
It sounds like he likes probably a 5'11". All of his options are like, sure, expand it, but keep conference champions a thing. Which, he didn't come out and explicitly say that, but that would fly in the face of the Big Ten, the 4-4, 2-2, 1-1, whatever the name of that. They need a snappier title for the name of the auto bid thing that they're trying to do, because what that would do is it would eliminate conference championships from being meaningful. And all of a sudden now you're playing playing games between fourth and fifth place teams. Like, nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. Nobody cares about whether the fourth or fifth best Big Ten team makes the tournament. Like, you should prioritize championships, and I actually like how they're doing it right now. I don't see anything wrong with staying at 12. Staying at 12, they got rid of the seeding issue from last year. It's just going to be straight seeding, so you don't have the weird thing where Boise State and Arizona State have a first-round bye. I think everybody was in agreement that that's not how it should have worked, but how about try this 12-team thing for a while and see if it works out the way with the straight seeding and actually rewarding teams that were at the top of the standings at the end.
This edition of the Tech Sideline podcast is brought to you by Tech Solutions, professional technical consulting in Arlington, Virginia. Unparalleled advisory services for advanced research and development. Tech Solutions provides specialized SETA engineering, advisory and assistance services, and subject matter expertise to the entire spectrum of the Department of Defense, intelligence community, and other agency missions. Tech Solutions, professional technical consulting in Arlington, Virginia. All right, we just sat down with Gary Stokan, actually, the Peach Bowl CEO and president. He's going to talk about Virginia Tech and South Carolina, which kicks off the season on August 31st in Atlanta. So we're going to cut to that and be right back here in episode 424 of the Tech Sideline podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 424 of the Tech Sideline podcast. Still got David Cunningham here, our managing editor, and then Gary Stokan, the Peach Bowl CEO and president. Gary, how are you? Thanks for hopping on.
Great, guys. How are you? You ready for college football?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And we started
time of the year,
and
right?
we started in Atlanta.
We look forward to hosting you. It's going to be a great weekend.
40 days away, is that right? 40 days. Virginia Tech in South Carolina, Sunday, August 31st, 3 p.m. on ESPN. Such a high-profile event, Hokies and Gamecocks. What makes Virginia Tech so attractive for an event like this, and what was kind of the selection process to bring them to Atlanta?
Well, I think the world of Virginia Tech, going back to my days with Frank Beamer.
Yeah.
He is such a special person and such a great ambassador for Virginia Tech. And so we've been very successful with Virginia Tech coming to, whether it's been the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl or the Chick-fil-A Kickoff game as it was back then. And Whit Babcock, I think the world of. He's great AD. So when Whit got the job, as Frank was transitioning out, I said, Whit, we'd love to have Virginia Tech come back whenever it makes sense. And we just looked at some dates and times, and in parallel, I was talking to Ray Tanner, who is a friend of mine. He played baseball at NC State. I played basketball at NC State. We both coached there afterwards. And when he got the job at South Carolina, and then when Shane got the job, I said, man, put together the Beamer Bowl would be fantastic.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Cheryl Beamer doesn't like it as much because we had dinner 2 weeks ago at Lake Oconee, where they have a lake house and I have a lake house, and we had dinner, and she said, Gary, what are you doing to me? You're putting together, Virginia Tech and my son's team. I don't know what colors to wear.
Yeah.
Who am I going to root for? And so the garnet and the maroon look somewhat close.
Yeah.
So she'll probably be in some kind of garnet and maroon colors. But Cheryl's been such a wonderful friend, her and Frank. And so we're looking forward to Virginia Tech. I think the world of Shane. I think he's one of the best young coaches out there in America. And both fan bases are ardent, great followers, so we should have a sellout. Sunday's a great time to do it because people can come in Saturday, enjoy Atlanta, spend Sunday, watch the game, and still get back to go to work on Tuesday. So instead of we've played Mondays before, we thought Sunday would make it easier for the fans to travel.
You've been with the Peach Bowl since 1998, I believe. You've seen, again, Virginia Tech play a handful of different times. Any memories or anything you remember about what stands out when you think back about Virginia Tech playing against Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee in any of those games?
Yeah, Frank told me and taught me that the reason he wanted to play in a game like this was because the off-season workouts for the players went to a whole new high because they knew they were going to play against great competition like Alabama when we had Alabama, Virginia Tech. The second thing he taught me is that teams will improve most between week 1 and week 2 because you have live game film against good competition. So you can coach up the kid individually per their position and collectively as a team. And that was reiterated by Nick Saban, Kirby Smart now, Dabo Swinney. So, but Frank, and Nick really taught me that. But I've seen Frank, win the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, win our Peach Bowl golf tournament. So Frank's participated in every event that we've had. He's won our Dodd Trophy that we promote. So we're inextricably tied to Frank Beamer and Cheryl Beamer and Virginia Tech, and we're glad to it because there's not a classier family than Shane, Frank, and Cheryl Beamer in college football.
Do you have any plans to involve him in some sort of pregame ceremony or anything maybe during the game, considering obviously the connection with Shane?
Well, it's ironic you said that we're going to honor Frank and Cheryl before the game.
Okay.
And then Frank's going to do the invocation of the game.
Okay. Wow.
So, we're definitely going to honor him because, as I said, he's participated in we do the Dodd Trophy, we do the kickoff games, we do the bowl game, we do the everything that Frank's been involved in. So, yeah, we've got to honor them for sure.
Awesome.
Virginia, you of course have the Syracuse-Tennessee game the night prior.
Right.
I believe this is the 6th time you guys have done 2 games to open a year.
My staff lets me know that every time I schedule.
What are the logistics of trying to pull off 2 games in a weekend, and how exciting is it for Atlanta and everybody involved? Obviously, a lot of work goes into it, but to put on not just 1 but 2 high-profile games.
Yeah, my staff is the best in the business for what they'll do, as well as with Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There's a great partnership there, and yeah, there's signage change-outs. The end zones need to change out. The flip cards need to change. The locker rooms need to change. I mean, there's a lot of work that as soon as that game's done, we play on Saturday, the 30th at noon. That game will be over about 4. We'll be in there by 5 o'clock changing everything out so that by 3 o'clock the next day, it'll look like a whole different facility.
Yeah. It's crazy, too, because we were talking about it, and David asked you about it, but all the times Virginia Tech has played in Atlanta, and particularly in this event, but they've never played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. For fans, fans that are coming to Atlanta and visiting the stadium for the first time, what would you tell them about what to look forward to in that experience?
Well, they're in for a treat. Number one, when they get into town, they need to go to the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There's a new AI experience, and it's totally immersive. You get a Virginia Tech experience, personalized experience, because when you log in, your ticket has an RFID chip in it.
Oh,
so
cool.
It identifies you as a Virginia Tech fan. Automatically, of the over 700 helmets, as you walk in, the Virginia Tech helmet will light up, knowing Virginia Tech fan is in the building. Then as you walk through the building, you'll not only through the films, but all the personal experience you'll get, it's a must-see. So you got to do that. The world's largest aquarium's in Atlanta. If you have time, that's a great visit too. But on game day, we'll have our team walks. The teams will actually walk through Home Depot backyard into the stadium, led by the cheerleaders and the mascot and the band. So that sets people up similar to a home game. The other thing is, when you get in outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we'll have our tailgate town. All kind of sponsor activation, all kind of games and activities, food. The SEC network is going to broadcast from down there. So that's a unique thing to do. And then when you get in the facility, Arthur Blank deserves a lot of credit. He just made a fan experience facility. So everything from the 3rd level has a 700-person suite for the fans to a 100-yard bar. Nobody thinks about the 3rd level, right? Yeah. They always think about the club level. Even up on the 3rd level, the experience is unique. The sightlines are fantastic, and the concessions are the lowest in the NFL. So you get a Coke, you get a free refill. Your hot dog and popcorn is probably going to cost you $5. He's got the lowest concession prices in the NFL, but he does the most business in the NFL. So it's just it'll be a great experience. And when you get 2 college crowds in there, that a sellout atmosphere, it gets rocking. It's loud because it's 72 degrees. We promise everybody 72 degrees in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We'll close the roof. We won't have the roof open. So it's going to be loud, and it's going to be an awesome way to kick off the college football season.
I went back and looked at the attendance numbers. Tech played there in Georgia, 2006, twice in 2009, Tennessee and Alabama, and then in 2013, above 70,000, almost pushing 80,000 in all those. But that wasn't even in Mercedes-Benz. Those were in the old Georgia Dome. This says here, the nation's longest-running kickoff game and reinventor of the neutral site season opener. What has made this event so successful over the years?
A lot of relationships. I've been in this 28 years and been in sports 47 years and got a lot of good relationships with coaches and athletic directors. And so having good relationships leads to trust, and being able to develop a relationship where, okay, they trust we're going to give them a first-class experience and a first-class atmosphere, first-class competition. And then, beyond that, it's just people want to play huge games to start the season now because it gives you a differentiation point in the CFP if you're trying to get into the playoff. I think back to 2017 when we opened Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we call it the GOAT game, the greatest opener all time. So you had number 1 Alabama against number 3 Florida State.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Alabama wins that game. They didn't win the SEC that year, but the CFP in a 14 playoff put Alabama in the playoff, and Alabama won the national championship. So these neutral non-conference games have a lot to do with how the selection committee looks at your season, because you don't schedule your conference. Your conference schedules that season. You have 3 or 4 games that you schedule. What did you do? Who did you play? Where did you play them? And did you win or lose? And so, a Virginia Tech beating a South Carolina in this case, would go a long way to helping Virginia Tech if they do good in the, do have a successful season in the ACC, helps them in front of that selection process.
You obviously have a big year because you have Syracuse, Tennessee, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. You also are hosting a college football playoff semifinal. What does that mean to the event and also to Atlanta as a whole to host an event of that magnitude?
Well, it's interesting. Basically, within one calendar year, we'll have hosted the CFP quarterfinal. We hosted Texas and Arizona State in an overtime game, 2 overtimes last year. We hosted the national championship in Atlanta this year with Notre Dame, Ohio State, and we'll host the semifinal this year on January 9th with 2 of the top teams in the country. So we've had all 3 of the CFP big events within 1 year, which is cool. Secondly, these 2 Aflac kickoff games, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the SEC Championship, which is played in Atlanta, will be 4 of the top 5 conventions in the city of Atlanta. And Atlanta's the 4th largest convention town in the United States, behind Las Vegas, Chicago, and Orlando. So that's how important college football is to the city of Atlanta, is having all these major big sporting events that are college football. So that's what we're looking forward to hosting.
You got anything else?
No, absolutely.
Good to go?
I appreciate you for your time. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks so
Gary.
much for having me.
Thanks
Good luck
so much.
to the Hokies.
Thank you.
Are we going to see you guys in Atlanta?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we'll be
Yes,
down
sir.
there.
Look forward to hosting you.
No Chick-fil-A on the Sunday, though, because, of course, Chick-fil-A closed on Sunday. But we will get it on Saturday. So
Get it
we'll be
on
good to go.
Saturday.
David's a big Chick-fil-A guy.
There
Big
you
Chick-fil-A
go.
guy.
Absolutely.
Red member, right?
Signature all the way up.
Signature.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
We look forward to hosting you guys.
Thank you so much for
you
your
so
time.
much
We
for
appreciate
your
it.
time.
Great season.
All right, that was Gary Stokan, the Peach Bowl CEO and President, Hokies in South Carolina on August 31st. That was a good interview, David. Good interview.
I really enjoyed it, and he gave some cool insight into
Yeah.
his relationship with the Beamers, and kind of got me juiced. I've never been to Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz, yeah.
I'm kind of juiced just to get there, and I know it's a fantastic venue.
So we got 2 more days here at ACC Kickoff in Charlotte. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Thursday is the day that Virginia Tech takes the podium. So content-wise, what is coming up on TechSideline.com?
We've got, I believe you're sitting down with David Teal tomorrow.
David Till tomorrow, Eddie Royal on Thursday, and then maybe one more TSL podcast while we're down here, and then obviously Virginia Tech student athletes as well.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of Hokies coverage on Thursday. Tech is on the podium, I believe, at 11-ish.
Yes.
So that entire day we'll have plenty of content. Andy, of course, has a story up from today on Jim Phillips. Spur of the moment interview I'm doing that I just found out about within the last hour. Jackie Carson, the Senior Associate Commissioner for Women's Basketball at the ACC, was offered up to me. I don't know if it's an interview we'll run this week, but I'm going to sit down and chat with her sometime tomorrow afternoon, talk about the ACC tournament moving to Georgia this year out of Greensboro. Then they're going to be in Charlotte next year. I know there's a new arena in Richmond. Maybe ask her about that and coming to Henrico, whether or not the ACC would ever go there. So that'll be interesting. Stuff like this pops up all the time when we're down
100%.
here. So any ideas of what you're going to write up tomorrow?
No, not really. It's sort of the weird day in between. Tech is on Thursday and the commissioner on Tuesday. So We'll see. Maybe just kind of wander around, see what we find. But I got to put together my all-ACC ballot, so that might be something.
Okay. Again, Virginia Tech goes on Thursday, 2 days away from now. But again, to David's point, stuff always pops up. So Eddie Royal, David Teal, student athletes, we'll see.
Maybe some more ESPN talent at some point. I believe Nick is trying to put together Nick is going to put together at some point a graphic of all of our ACC preseason predictions and stuff. Andy and I will fill out our ballots, but Nick's going to make graphics for everybody. So we'll have tons of little bits of pieces of content here and there all this week.
Yeah, Nick Brown's been put to work. Follow the socials, Tech Sideline, all over social media. So anyway, appreciate you guys. For David Cunningham, Andy Bitter, Nick Brown, I'm Carter Hill. Thanks for tuning in to episode 424 of the Tech Sideline podcast, and we'll talk to you later this week from Charlotte.